Hi, my name's Spencer Marker, and this has been my project for the last month. This is a 1980 Sears Gamefisher fiberglass 14 foot, 48 inch on the beam. I've got a 15 horse Johnson on the back, got a brand new Minn Kota power drive on the front, and basically it was how to mount that started this whole project. The main goal with this modification for me was not to get a live well or that, but I wanted to get additional space and make better use of the space in the boat. Fascinated with all the videos here on the Nation and watched them all about 50 times and tried to incorporate all the cool ideas that I saw. I have to say that I put this bow on prior to seeing those videos, which is why it's pressure treated, although with 4 coats of oil-based paint, but why it's pressure treated instead of 8th grade vinyl. It's also important to me, this is a boat my father and I fished out of, and I didn't want to go cutting holes in it or doing any big mods, so everything is removable that's in the boat. Even the electrical, I have a disconnect on the wiring. Disconnect on the wiring that I can turn around and unhook the bilge pump, unhook the anchor light, and lift the whole mod right out of the boat and go back to stock. But here's what we've got. Got slam latches on everything. This is the side stow. You can see I've got the anchor light mounted in there. The floor in it is 1/2 inch thick rubber. It's actually made to drain, so it's perfect. I lined the whole boat with a pond liner too, prior to doing anything. It's built out of big part of the frame is four 2x4s. Everything else is 1x2 cedar or aluminum. But I have that side stow there. Built this stow here in the front. It's got LED lights, slam latch, got the hydraulic rod. I wanted the fish finder to be removable as well, so there's the wiring for that. Transducer cables run right up that conduit at the side, which is shared, but I can just bring it right out and plug it in there if I want. This center stow is actually, when the boat first came out, it was touted as a live well, and I'm going to be thinking on how to get that done, also keeping it removable. In the meantime, it's a stow. Our center stow has a 17-gallon tough tote just wedged in there. It's got liner on both sides. I have not got a light in there yet, but I will. On the front, I've got, for the foot mount, I've got it stowed in there because on this particular model, has a 14 foot, so I can put that in the back of the boat if I choose to, and use it down there. So if I'm going to use it up here, I've got a piece I can slide in there that makes it a flush mount. This right here is a 4-inch piece of PVC. I just painted gray. I mounted it with the Fernco coupling to the deck because that's the anchor stow. The rubber provides a little bit of, gives it a little bounce, a little cushion when I bring it in, but it also keeps, hopefully, all the dirt and that comes in with it, keeps it contained in there, and I can remove it and clean it. This right here, I just didn't like the bounce on how that goes, so I made this removable just with galvanized pipe, so at least when I'm driving, going over rocky roads and that, it adds a little stability and takes some of the bounce out of that electric motor. In this stow here, this is where the main electrical is. I mounted a battery box to the side wall in there to keep it. This is all the extra wires. I've got my switches in the stow right in front of that. Haven't labeled the LED light switch yet, but You can see they all come on. Nav, bilge. I put the accessories on a separate switch so it wouldn't drain the battery when the boat was sitting. But what those got ample extra wire in there so I can pull that switch panel out. Everything else is fairly secure. Ran it all straight from the switch pan, well, to the fuse box here. All labeled, mounted. There's the circuit breaker for the electric motor, and there's the negative bus bar. Everything. This is where I'll keep some of the standard stuff in there, like the throwable preserver and that type of thing. Everything, every bit of the electrical, I went a little different on there in that I got the self-contained waterproof positive and negative. I ran 200 feet of that, or just under 200 feet of that, plus another 100 foot of miscellaneous wire. But everything's got heat shrink. It is it's heat shrink, and then I taped up over it. It's all mounted securely and wired in place. All the frame, it looks aluminum, but that's because I painted it with aluminum paint. The first two coats were of a hunter green. I did that to match the boat. I didn't like how that looked, so I gave it another two coats of the aluminum on there. Just, I like that look. It's a little more reflective. I thought that was that's just personal preference. On this, on the back part of the boat, I added an extra 3/4 inch, 1x2 on there, 3/4 inch wide, but I've got enough room to mount on the back part back there. I can pop that board off, add another when I do the second half of the boat, which I'm figuring out how I'm going to do. A lot of it depends on how that live well works out. I paid careful attention to weight. I had a net gain of 63 pounds in there. When I weighed the wood, and I put everything on scales, the wood, I put all of the metal, all of the add-ons in there, the switches and the wiring and that. I weighed everything. Total weight came to 113 pounds. And I turned around and then subtracted from it. I took out 50 pounds worth of steel plate, a combination of a second battery and additional steel plate that had been in there supporting where some of the fiberglass had broken, and my father had mounted a chair, mounted one of the chairs to it. So I had a net gain of 63 pounds. Kept track of my expenses. Came in a little higher than where I'd planned. Came in at $862. Some of that was extra stuff that I did, like for the pipe to hold the motor and that, and some of it was where I just didn't have I didn't have a box of heat shrink. I didn't have a box of fittings. I had to buy everything from scratch. I did spend extra money. I got a nice slam latch. It wasn't a post. It's heavy gauge. That necessitated, I had to go that way because I went with 5/8 plywood. I just wasn't comfortable going with the 1/2 inch plywood, probably because I'm new and didn't have as much confidence in my build. But I turned around and went with the 5/8 inch plywood. So that necessitated getting a slam latch that would accommodate that, and these were the only ones that I could find. I still had to go get other screws for them, but I was real happy with how it turned out. On that, I also spent extra money on the wiring. I like that coated wire. I thought it was just extra protection for a marine application. I'm not out in salt water, but nonetheless, I built the inside of that box. It took me about 5 minutes, but I used chloroplast from the signage. from builder signs on the side of the road. And I have a video on that, but it really, it was quick, it was easy, it's waterproof, it didn't add but maybe an ounce to the total weight. I was really psyched. I wish I had more applications for it in here. But you can see the conduit. I've coming back to the bilge and coming back to the you know, the rear part there. Did add an anchor light. I did do that the proper way, using 1/8" aluminum. I painted it to match the rest of the boat. Can't wait to get it out on the water and see how it does. I'll post a video when I do. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you have any questions, comments, tips, critiques, write them in the comments down below. I will do the best that I can to respond. Big shout out to Michael Lopez, Fireant Fishing, Anthony Jones, and a host of others whose videos I spent hours watching. It was a real pleasure and finally done. I do have a couple other videos I'm going to post on this. If you hit subscribe, you'll get them. Otherwise, thanks and good fishing.